Good evening from the UK and welcome to Inception Special. I have an amazing guest this evening. She was on Open Minds, so you've seen her before. But tonight we're going to talk about something slightly different. We're just going to have a chat. Welcome, Kate, to Inception Special. Do you know I can't say your surname? You know that, don't you?
Thorvaldsen.
There you go. See, I knew it really. I just checking she knew her name. Thank you for coming back on my shows. It was an absolute success last time you was on, and you shared so much. I learned so much, and I know many others in the audience did too. So thank you for sharing that and helping others come to terms with their ET contact for that show. What I would like to talk about this evening, and no pressure, is you mentioned in the last show, and it's in your bio, that you've been working on a new book, which will come out in 2022. We're in that year now, all the twos, and it's called The Creation. And the subtitle of it is Where Physics and Consciousness Meet. I'm really, really curious. What was the catalyst for this? What was the catalyst?
Well, it's actually started as many years back as 2015.
Yeah.
No, now I'm lying. 1995.
There you go.
Yeah, that's the right year. I was not into the physics at all. I was a little bit on my spiritual journey. Mm-hmm. And of course, I had my ET experiences that was happening now and then. Mm-hmm. But it all actually started one day. I was standing in the basement. I had this sewing gallery kind of store in my basement with wedding dresses and all kinds of things. So trust me, my head was not at all on the thing that I was going to experience that day.
Yeah.
So I was standing in the basement working on a wedding dress, not for myself, but for a client. Mm-hmm. And suddenly I heard these numbers appeared in my head. 1, 3, 5, 7. I was thinking, okay, what's this? No one is talking around me. Okay. Going a little bit nuts here. And then it repeated itself a few times. And then suddenly, what I saw, it was like my vision was not seeing the things around me in the basement anymore. Mm-hmm. I was seeing this line of strings. And then suddenly one more line with strings appeared. Mm-hmm. And then it looked like the DNA string, but without the bindings.
Yeah, yeah.
And in the next moment, it's starting to build up and build up and build up. And it's starting to become very complex. And then suddenly it was like a weird feeling.
Yeah.
Okay, probably others have experienced this too, but it was like someone was dragging my consciousness out of my back of my head and just dragged me out from time and space and everything. And suddenly it was like I was just hanging there out of nowhere.
Yeah. And
I was looking in at something that looked like a huge donut, but with pearls.
Yeah.
So it was not like a solid donut. It was not donut you could eat, but it looked like a donut of pearls. And it had this really, really beautiful light that was surrounding the entire thing. And when I was hanging there, it was like I was blown away of its beauty. But in the same time, I was getting told that this was the everything.
Wow.
And in the next moment, when I understood the soaking in the everything, it was just a wow moment.
Yeah.
And then it dragged me in again, closer to the donut. And then I see all those spheres that was tied together. And then my consciousness went into one of the spheres. Mm-hmm. And then you have this, it looks like an atom with electrons flying around.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Okay.
There are different words for what's going on here. And then my consciousness was starting to following one of the electrons that was flying around. I'm using the word electrons because that's the picture of people understand, but it's not an electron. Okay. And this one become unstable, and at the end it blowed up. And that was actually our big bang. So I was following from that, diving into that one, following the whole thing up to till now. And then suddenly I could recognize our own solar system and everything. So I was diving into that, and then suddenly, boom, I was back in the basement.
Wow. I mean, wow. I mean, never mind wow, like you're experiencing consciousness in creation, but after, when you were back in the basement, how did you compute this? How did you rationalize it?
I was just blown away. I was just standing there with the needles and my wedding dress, and I was, yay. Wow.
Yeah.
It was the absolute, and of course, every time I have experienced something like this afterwards, it's nothing that you need to dive into and try to remember how it looked like and how it was.
No.
The whole experience has become a part of you.
It's imprinted, isn't it? It's like imprinted within our own DNA, our own being. It's like anything else we have, a hand or anything like that. Wow. Yeah. So what did you do next? Did it, I mean, obviously when you've just sort of gone, wow, I would have said, I would have sworn, I would have gone, what the fuck? I mean, that's an experience. I would have looked like, oh, but that's how I express myself, you know, through cussing. It's just me.
Yeah.
What comes next?
Well, I start to scribble down all the different elements. So because at that point, I did not know that I will remember every picture of it anyway. Mm-hmm. But I didn't, since I did not know that, and this kind of experience was new, then I was scribbling down all of it. So I could try to remember it. But, well, I didn't need that. Later on, it was actually not much happening for a long time.
Okay. Were you waiting? Were you waiting? Do you think you were waiting?
No, no, I wasn't. Actually, this is so long time ago. So actually, it did not start with that thing. Actually, actually started perhaps 6 months before.
Okay.
Just give me a second here. That's the problem. It's so long time ago.
I know.
I was having a lot of this. I had several, not that close encounters, but you felt connected with them, kind of.
Yeah.
And I started to experience that. Let's say that every question you have had your entire life. Mm-hmm. That will be lots of questions.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Especially me, I'm nosy.
Yeah, me too. I like to know stuff. So so then people can just imagine how many questions you will have built up in your entire life. So let's say that you're getting, there's some process starting, so you are getting the answer to all your questions.
Simultaneously, at the same time?
Well, not at the same time, but at the same time as you're trying to live your normal life.
Yeah, okay.
So I remember I was having this, it was like a transparent film in front of me.
Yeah.
That was going down like, at the end of the film at the cinema.
Yeah, the credits going down. Yeah.
Yeah. And there were pictures on it, was text, it was film, it was all kinds of things, and it was transparent. And it wasn't like that you were trying to look at it closer to see what's going on in there. You just saw it and you just knew what was coming.
Yeah.
So I was walking around like more or less like a zombie for almost 3 months.
Oh, Lord.
I had a lot of headaches through that time, and I can understand why, because this was lots of information coming down.
Yeah.
And then suddenly all of it stopped. And of course, then people will think that, okay, now you will say that, okay, now you know it all.
Yeah.
And the thing is that when I was done with those 3 months, it was more like I don't know all of the stuff that they were coming down because it wasn't important anymore. It was more like I was on ground zero.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
So I was actually then open for new stuff to come in. Mm-hmm. So then a little bit later on, then I had this experience in the basement.
Okay, I'm with you. Right, so you can see it's coming in increments. It's building up. I'm going to ask again, what happened next?
Well, again, there was a lot of other stuff going on in my life, so there was so it did not happen that much.
Yeah.
And it has been coming over the years and years and years. And of course, 1995 is a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, the information has been quite spread over those years.
Yeah.
There was a time that was very, for me, I thought it was very nice.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, they had to put themselves into a trance or meditate or do anything like that to get downloads, kind of. I never had needed to do that.
No.
I can, let's say, if I'm watching television, I would like to watch the programs with physics, or if they have questions or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because my problem is that after the 3 months with downloading thing, and I was back to ground zero,
mm-hmm.
It was like I don't have any questions anymore.
I'm with yeah. I know that feeling.
So I needed other questions to come to me, kind of.
Yeah,
and when I get
needed new ones. Needed to be a different kind of Rosie. No, I want to just hold on a second. What you just mentioned about you didn't have to, meditate or do all that to happen. I'm very similar to that. And I remember one period, mine's nothing like yours, but there was one period, and it must have gone on for a good few months. And it's when I was in 3 houses ago. And so it was back a bit. And I had this compulsion. I studied quantum physics, and I was just loving quantum physics, and I was doing astrophysics, just studying, researching. And I had a thing like you about science. It was science. I was already in my career of, like criminology and things like that. But I just had this thing for science. And then out of nowhere, like you have a blackboard, yeah, well, you can buy blackboard sheets to stick on your walls. So not the wooden, like in school, you'd write with chalk. Well, I just went and bought these rolls of blackboard sticky. And in my front room, I had my desk and everything. I think I was still at university at the time. I pasted all round the wall, and it was blank. And obviously the 2 younger children that are still with me are like, Mom. Anyway, next thing I know, I am writing coordinates, Earth coordinates, every mathematical equations, and I have no idea what they meant. And it was going round and round and round and round and round. And all I knew, I was sort of like knowing, every one of them is divisible by the number 9, every one of them. And I went through every one and checked they were the right ones. I didn't know why they had to be the right ones. I didn't know what they were for. I mean, later on, I found places on Earth, yeah. But I remember going through that period, and it was all around and anyone that come in my house said, oh, fuck, I said, I used to go, I'm just doing some math, like I was some intelligent. What would I say? I'm getting this information, and I don't know why or what it's for. So I'm sure there's many people out there that you're not crazy, because I've experienced that too. And to this day, I don't know why.
For me, I'm interested in the topic, but in the same time, I did not want to study it.
No, yeah.
Because if I did study it, I was afraid that could color the things that I was getting down. And I was a little frustrated at times, because people were saying that, oh, you're sitting down and you're trying to figure out this and figure out that. And I said, but you know what? I don't.
No.
I don't do that.
No,
when I do the question,
a
lot of times I can just point my eyes to the wall or the table or whatever, and then next moment that table or the wall is gone, and you are in this film.
Yeah, it's disappeared.
The whole things instead.
And I've got to touch on that. Now that's synchronistic for me. In one of the groups I teach in, and there's a way I was sort of talking about how, you can look at something, it can disappear. So I've started them working on their own body, the tips of the fingers, something gentle. And that's really synchronistic. You just raised that up, and that it is possible, because I too have it. I have experienced that. And I think the most like, what the fuck moment was, as I was going to get out of my bed, it was like, what if the floor's not there? Whoa! And, as if someone was saying, what if, and it was the observer effect. As soon as I put my eyes on the floor, it would be there. And for 1 second, I was like, oh, please be there, Floor. And I didn't. I thought, please be. Then I wasn't going to look, but then I had the fear, if I don't observe through quantum physics, so it was like I was not only learning quantum physics, basic quantum physics, not, I was experiencing it at the same time. So obviously, if you're going through that, you're obviously getting the downloads, but you're experiencing what they're actually, it's an experiential research, should I say. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, because when you're seeing the films, you're not seeing the film as pictures, you're seeing it as alive, and you see how everything is interacting with each other, how everything moves and so on.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's the synchronistic, that I'm in the groups. We're talking about it now. And other people are starting to see things this way, just glimpses of it. Before we go on, I mean, like I said about all these mathematical equations and coordinates, and I come out when they're supposed to come out, when I'm supposed to be aware of it. But it's to do with Earth energies, I know that, and places. The things with quantum physics, like or any type of physics, it could be astrophysics. When you get this information coming in that we call downloads, I found that not to chase it, not to follow it, and it took me a while though to realize to get to that point. Did you go through that too, or did you just allow it straight away? And never think, I mean, now I just let it go. But did you go through that? For anyone in the audience that's getting anything like this and going, what the fuck's happening? How do I know this? So did you go through that?
Well, I've never been chasing it. I never needed it.
No.
So it has been, as long as I had a good question, I could just send out the question, and then the answer would come straight away, or it will come later, or it can just come suddenly. So it
be a new question, and that is another synchronicity for me. I interviewed a guest yesterday. We went out on Open Minds. I think it was a live one yesterday, and we spoke about this, and that coming to the recognition, which does touch upon about what you've just said, is that we can't go forward asking the same questions with the old consciousness, concepts, ideas, even scientific. We can't go forward using them. And we need new questions, new language, new concept. So you're actually resonating with the conversation I had yesterday. And I find that really fascinating. So
yeah. No, the thing I like very much is that the first image that I got in that basement.
Yeah.
Or that happening that I had in the basement. Everything that I get afterwards over the years, everything fits into that. So those times I have been listening to other people doing quantum physics or cosmology or anything like that. It has been actually funny because let's say like Nikola Tesla, when he was working on an engine, he could see this image in this engine in a 3-dimensional thing, and he can see, let's say that he was putting a wheel into that machine, and he could see if that wheel was working or not. And I do the same thing, but with quantum physics and cosmology and all these kind of things.
Wow.
Take another thing and it goes in there, and I can see this fit, this doesn't fit, and this work, this does not work. So
wow. I mean, and I don't know if it's true, but I have read that he did say that he was working with other beings. He was connected, I don't know, to other ETs or whatever, but I've heard something, and I'm wondering, there are a few experiences like myself and yourself. It's different fields, very similar, but different ways of going. I'm just wondering, because none of us have gone to university for degrees in quantum physics, and the ones I've spoken to and myself, I found the information I got, if I researched something, like I watched the lecture I went into neuroscience, neuroplasticity, and I just knew what they were talking about. I may not be able to repeat it, but so I'm just wondering, because it's a time now where we have to look It's not about ET, about nuts and bolts and UFOs and time travel. It's about the impact of what the experience is on the being, which is the conscious being. And that needs to be addressed and pushed forward now. So forget ufology, so to speak. If you want to follow ufology and it fascinates you, it's your passion, please do. But I'm talking about experiences. Quite a few are coming forward now and saying we need to talk differently, we need to move differently, like we're creating something. So what you're creating now would be the new questions you're going to ask. And we spoke about this, it's time to ask new questions. Yeah. And I find that nice and eerie, goosebumpy, because I just had that conversation with a guest yesterday.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, the thing is for humans, is actually to understand who they are. A lot of time, most people are thinking, okay, who they are, then they're just thinking about their identity.
Yes. Yes.
But you and your identity is so much more. So to understand yourself, you need to understand what your hand is made of.
Yes.
And what you're made of, and how Absolutely. Everything else around you, how it works together.
Yes.
It's like taking, let's say, the chair I'm sitting on.
Yeah.
I do feel the chair. I don't see my chair I'm sitting on, but I can feel it.
Yes.
And that has to, because the way, sometimes it's difficult to explain this in another language. Let's say that you are, just an example. Let's say that you are seeing a tornado coming. Yeah. And of course, you will easily feel the forces of the tornado.
Yeah.
But if you take away all the dust, everything scramble and all these kind of things inside that tornado, you will not see it. You will just feel it.
Yes, I'm with you. I'm with you. No, I'm with you. You're having no problem, English being your second language. You're doing excellent. You're doing good. I mean, it is hard, and I do appreciate that. When I look at, and I want to just stay here gently before we move on. When I look at of the information that you've got, the downloads, and what's compelling you, and we'll get a bit later as to when was the crucial point when you knew you had to write it as a book. We'd go down there a bit later. But do you see what's happening to you as you are not exposing, revealing the truth about what history is called the creation, or something like that? I mean, I'm looking at there'd be a reason that this is happening to correct something that's maybe false information we've been told.
Well, I'm not that out into the media that much yet with this stuff, because if you're trying to take a little piece, it's like look at something else. It's like that you are having 5 scientist people or normal people, then all of them, they can't see, but they are holding, one is holding an elephant's trunk, the other one is holding the elephant's tail, other one is holding a leg, and so on, so on, so. And then they are describing how things look like and how it works.
Yes, yeah.
And so if I try to take a little piece out of the equation and try to explain that, I will have lots of people that will jump all over it, and they will say, oh, this is wrong, and this is that, and this is that. But the thing is that I can't, that's why it's difficult for me to explain this topic, because a lot of times I get on the interviews, people ask me, can you explain how all of this is built together? And no, you can't. One thing is that your show is not long enough. And the other thing is that a lot of this stuff is new stuff.
Yeah.
So people, they need pictures at the same time to see it, to understand it. And in the same time, you actually need to see the bigger picture first, and then you take all the elements down.
I'm with
you. Later on, I understood that they were actually showing me the engine.
Wow.
So the first time I saw it, and all the information I have got later on is actually all the smaller elements of how this is, this engine is run, kind of.
I mean, I'm sure there are other people. I mean, when I talk about scientists, I'm not talking about contemporary scientists that are sadly controlled by whatever forces. If they dared to come into this field, they would lose their tenure, lose their funding, they'd be debunked and ridiculed. I'm aware of other experiencers like yourself starting that have never studied this, but just become knowing, are starting to talk about it. So it's popping up everywhere. I mean, who knows? I mean, so I think if you did put it out now, I mean, what I'm trying to say is when your book does come out, for me, if an academic scientist from, the powers that be says this is that, I wouldn't even faze me. I wouldn't even want their opinion, because of they have biases, concepts, ideologies, and all the rest that goes with it. Does that make sense, Jim?
Yeah, I'm not talking with the scientists to get their opinion.
Yeah,
because that will interfere with my stuff.
Absolutely.
Those times I do talk with professors and people like that.
Yeah.
Then I explain what I get.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to change it.
No.
I was so lucky that I was in Bulgaria in 2018, where I met Professor Lazar Filippo, a really nice man, and he was the organizer of this. And he has been a professor in astrophysics for more than 30 years.
Wow, beautiful.
And after my talk, I was invited to his table, and we had lots and lots of good chats. So I was asking him, do you have any things that you are working with now that you are struggling with?
Yeah.
And as I told him that, well, I get this as films. I don't get this as formulas.
Yeah.
So you have to explain what you're doing to me without formulas.
Yeah.
So, and I was lucky because the topic that he was struggling with, I just a week or two earlier, I was just getting that kind of information. So I could actually I could just give him the answer straight away. So he was a little blown away. And afterward, I remember our breakfast together is that he said to me that our physics is how was it? We are doing the old science. You are doing the new science.
Yes,
that was his new words, and that was his words. Sadly, Professor Lazar, he died now, just for 1 week, 14 days ago.
Oh bless, oh bless. No, I mean, this is what I'm looking at now, talking to other experiences as well. With the information that you're getting, it is a new science. And that's why I say, I mean, there are some contemporary scientists that don't worry about their tenure. They're not worried about that, they're okay if they're kicked out. That are supporting, yes, there is, which is needed, because it stops the separation and brings it into one. But, for me, I keep thinking, well, you just see these experiences around the world that are working on this. They have a little bit of the puzzle. Eventually they'll be the ones that will come together for whatever reason. I just think it's magical, and it just for me it's just exciting, because it just synchronicity, I'm having more and more of these conversations, which means, hey, it's going to manifest. So that's where I go with this. I'm going to now jump to the fact to the place where and how and when, 3 big W's, did it come in, or you just decide I'm going to write a book? So I
knew that.
You knew it from the beginning.
Yeah.
But you didn't know when.
No, and I had no clue what kind of information that would be in that book at all, because that information reveals itself.
Yeah.
Over the years, and how sometimes it has to do with how, if I'm too busy, nothing happens.
Yeah.
If I'm a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more open-minded, then suddenly something can come. But most of the times, I need to see the question.
Yes. So
some time ago, there's a few years back, there was this documentary thing about time.
Yeah.
And they were visiting different universities in Europe. Mm-hmm. And then the different scientists, people there was going to explain time, and I was actually a little bit shocked that they knew so little. and of course I'm laughing. That's not good, nice on me. But I was actually surprised that they knew that little. I can't say that I knew that much either.
No.
At the point, but I was surprised to look at them. But because they had these questions, then something triggered in my mind, and then I was getting all this kind of new information was coming down, and I was just, wow, okay, time. Yep, we had time.
Yeah,
that's our own place. The information online.
I think asking new questions and new language, new concepts, new ideas, new formulas, new modalities, all of this, I think, as an experiencer, when I ask let's say the correct question, a new question, yes, as an experience, but also at the same time, because you said if you're not busy, whatever, it's like there's no interference with who we are. We're still going around doing our life. We're still, and there's no pressure, but it's, did you find as you've gone down this road, because I found, it doesn't mean it's true for everyone, it's just mine, that as I started to slow down doings, like last of the child left the house, then I moved, then I started to live by myself, where I am now. So I had more, I slowed down with the human doings, and I was in that space of silence. Then more comes in again and again and again, because my human, it's like I've been the human being for so long, been a mother, been this, been that, done all what I needed to do. Excuse me. I was cleaning out a dusty room today and moving furniture, so it's hit my chest, so it's just dust.
You should bring one of these along too,
Well, I've got my water, that's what I'm doing. And it would come in increments, like blast and go. But since it's a year and a half now, I've literally been on my own, then it's just constant going, like a way of life. Did you find, or have you found yet, that as you slow down through your life experience, that everything, it comes not quicker, but it becomes more and more and more? And maybe in my cases now I'm finding, and it's about a different topic, it's nothing like yours, that I don't ask questions. It comes in. This is going to sound really crazy. It comes in because I'm aware it's coming in, that space. And then it could be that night or the next day, but quicker than before. You don't have to wait. Then I come up with an idea, something new, a creation or question. Does that make sense to you, what I'm trying to articulate here?
Well, for me, I'm still busy.
You're still busy?
I'm still busy. My kid has left the house 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm still busy.
You're still busy. Well. Yeah. But that, I'm just saying, it just happens to be for me that I've slowed it down. So it actually flows better. Not that there was ever a conflict, but it's like I can just sit down and I know as soon as I go quiet, vroom, that sort of a thing occurs to me. So, all right, so you've always known you're going to write a book. I'm trying to get out of you, okay? When did you put pen to paper? When did this really start to manifest?
Well, as I said, after that experience in the basement, I was drawing the lines just to put it there. And I guess that over the years, every time I had an experience, I was just putting down the lines so I can, So nothing will be forgotten in case I do forget, but I haven't. So over the years, it has been, of course, lots of paper.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So I'm thinking that, okay, perhaps starting to put all of these things together. But the thing is that most of this stuff is putting itself together in my head first.
Yeah. I'm with you. Do you have you have actually given a release date for 2022? So you obviously have a target where you're going to go to release. Is that correct?
I don't have any time of the year, no. Actually, I've been working with this book for several years already. Yeah. And I guess a lot of people that are following me are still thinking that, okay, will that book ever see the day of life? Because
well, I'm going to get like that, Kate. You know that, don't you? Waiting for the book.
First I was trying to make my own pictures, and of course that's difficult. They are so detailed
Yeah.
And I can draw pictures, but still it's difficult.
Yeah.
And then I was hoping that I wanted to make the pictures better, so I wanted to make them as a 3D images in my book.
Yeah.
But I don't have that money, so I can't hire a professional to do it.
Yes.
But I had a few people that had a go on it that wanted to try to do it, but no, it did not work. So I was back to scratch again. So yeah.
So
one thing is having those
hold on, if anyone out there that's qualified in doing this and would really like to do it, you know, to help for free, you know where to get hold of Kate. Get hold of her, and if you can support her in any way, that would be fantastic. I've heard of many people creating things. A lot of it was books or websites to start what they're going, and there was no finance to do it, and they've just gone out. If anyone out there and someone that resonates with what you're doing could be watching, you know. I even had Craig Cambabosa on, I can never say his name, the film producer, and he's creating a new film, and he was on recently on Open Minds, and he just said, I need some millionaires to, you know, fund so I can do the graphics, all these special effects to really make it come out. So he said, if any millionaires are watching my show, I went, okay, if any millionaires are out there watching my show, you don't know, do you? So just put it out there. So anyone that can help Kate to do the 3D graphics for the pictures, that knows what she needs and is qualified in doing so, and would like to, you know, donate their time, please get hold of Kate or me, and I'll pass it to Kate. So, you know, I've been hearing about this book since last time you come on Open Mind. I really want, and then you know, like when you read something, like I read your bio before and that, and I kept reading again, and something was coming in. Talk about the book. Talk about what book? Because I've had so many guests since you, and I go. So I had to go back and reread the bio. Oh, that book, because obviously I can't retain too much in my head. And now I understand why I'm supposed to talk about this. But I mean, because it's something that I'm waiting for, never mind anyone else. And you know, Kate, it's all about me, you know what I mean? So, I mean, I know you're very busy, okay? And you're still, you know, compiling this book, and we've put out there, you know, hopefully you'll get support that it's first edition comes to me, by the way. And, you know, if you don't ask, you don't get. Isn't that the way it goes?
Yeah. It depends on if it's, I guess that most likely it will be in Norwegian first, and then it will be translated into English. So,
I can't speak Norwegian. Oh, shit.
Can you imagine you trying to do a radio show with me and you have to talk in Norwegian?
No,
especially and on these topics. Trust me.
No. I can't even speak English at the best of time. Then I can remember a little bit of French and a bit of Arabic, and then I'm you know, because if you don't use it, you lose it, and that's what happens. So, all right, I will be patient, but even when it comes out in Norwegian, and I won't be able to understand it, you still come back on the show, and you know, and that will be it. And but yeah.
And of course, it's easier also if I can show some images at the same time I'm explaining, because if I just do the explaining, most people will have no clue.
Don't worry, love. We'll have a PowerPoint presentation. You know, and when I was training, in my work role, I used to call it death by PowerPoint. You're like, oh God, no. Yeah, everyone does death by PowerPoint, but this won't be. This will be like, what the fuck by PowerPoint. We'll do a present. You can do a presentation in English when you've got the English translation. So I'm looking forward to that. So what else are you doing apart from It's Not Enough your book? What else are you doing at the moment?
Well, right now I'm actually translating my latest book. Actually, my book is in the shipment now, so I guess that early next week I will have a brand new book. So looking forward to that.
Title and a description about the book, please.
This book is a completely other kind of topic. It's called Nose Above Water. And it's about.
Sorry, what's it called?
Nose Above Water.
Nose Above Water.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's about how to how to explain it, how to be, how to avoid depression,
Wow.
and how to get free from depression without medication.
Wow. I like the title. First of all, I was like, but now I get it. Now I know what the topic's about. Wow.
Yeah, so the cover of the book is having a face, and we have the black water here. So
yeah. No, and when will that be? When it comes out for people to purchase, where will that be available?
In Norwegian already next week.
So, all right. If you're in Norway, you're lucky. The rest.
Yeah, but I'm working on the translation to English now. So I guess that in the next few months that book will be available.
Okay. And then will it be like Amazon or your site or something?
My site, and it'll also be as an ebook.
An ebook
and paper.
Oh, brilliant. Lovely. So let us know when that is ready in English, and we'll get that out there and put that out there as well. And I'll be able to read. So I'm going to be able to read this book before your next book.
Yeah. And the thing is that I'm in that book, I'm also talking about different kind of, one thing is different kind of depressions, because most people are putting the depression label on everything, and they have no clue. And deep depression is actually a disease that you can actually, a lot of people are dying from.
Yes.
And people, they are so, how to say it, if they meet a person with cancer, they will be very careful with what they are saying. But if you are struggling with deep depression, they will say something like, oh, it's just to take a trip in the forest and you will be just fine when you get back.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So so they have no clue what they are talking about. But I'm also bringing up different kind of topics about how medical personnel meets you if you are having that kind of problems.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, so it's not just the normal people or the common people that you are
I'm with you.
Meeting with this kind of how they treat you. And I'm also talking about spirituality and psychiatry.
Yes.
And they are two things that are like oil and water. They don't mix at all.
No.
So the old Freud, when he was making this characteristics of all that was going on, he does not seem to me as a spiritual person at all. He has no clue what it will say to be spiritual. And the thing is that if you're a Christian and you are experiencing something that you need help to understand in your process as a person, you could, if you're lucky, you can go seek people inside the church to can get you the help. But if you're a spiritual person and you are experiencing something, if you are not living in the Amazon or being in part of a tribe or anything like that, that this is a normal common thing, who shall you seek to?
Absolutely.
And if you are, sorry to say, stupid enough to actually dive into the psychiatry for them to help you to get answer to your experiences, if they have been scary or confusing or whatever, they have no clue what they're doing. So they will just put you on medication.
No, I agree. I mean, I think something like this, coming from a new conscious perception, a book like this has changed the language. And I remember when I was very, very young, because I'd come out of an extremely traumatic experience, and then I got diagnosed with depression. And just to be told, I took on the beliefs. Anyway, so, and then it was, then I was diagnosed with schizophrenia. I'm seeing dead people and I just told them, as you do. But because I was diagnosed with these things, I manifested them and became, but there came a point that I had like a knowing, no, I'm not that. I'm not that. And then I realized what I was actually experiencing. You were talking about putting the label. I wasn't depressed. And I remember the first time I said it, I'm not depressed. It's like, boom, the freedom in me. But what I was experiencing is post-traumatic stress disorder. And I had to deal with that, you know, letting it go, doing the work, releasing that. But because I'd been labeled, a young age with this sticky plaster, depression. Of course, what do young people do? They look at what's depression and kept saying, are you suicidal? I mean, and it didn't help that I did try to top myself when I was a teenager, but I had this real, I'm not depressed. I can't tell you how much alive I felt by having that recognition. I'm not depressed. It was like having, oh, I've got a broken leg, I've got to heal it, I've got to fix it, I've got to do some things. That doesn't make you depressed. Do you see what I'm saying? So I think something like your book is much needed. And in English, Kate, ASAP.
It's coming.
It's coming.
I'm trying to translate one chapter into a day.
Yeah. Wow. No, that's but how many books have you written?
Well, it's just a hybrid story and this book, but the hybrid story is in 3 languages. It's Norwegian, English, and Italian.
And that, for the audience, that book is called?
That's the hybrid story.
Oh, beautiful, the hybrid story. Look at that. There you go. I mean,
so this one is about one thing is the close encounters, but it's also about past lives.
Yeah.
All different kind of things.
I was just going to ask you before we're coming up to the hour. I was just going to ask you, for anyone that is not aware of you and aware of your book, as to give a brief, like you just did with the last book, a brief bio of the book, what it covers.
Well, as I started, it covers my several of my close encounters.
Yeah.
It also covers several of my past lives and how it has affected me in this life.
Yeah.
Also my spiritual journey.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I have this really, I have 2 lives that is very important to me, especially the Mongolian one.
Yeah.
I was so lucky that in 2017 I was actually able to go to Mongolia.
Yeah.
So that was a really, really good experience.
Yeah.
But I have this sweet story. That was when I was living in the west coast of Norway, and I had 4 horses.
Yeah.
And one day I was going out there in the backyard, and I was going to get the horses inside. But one of the horses was not coming. It was trying to walk, but it was struggling to walk.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one of the muscles, the seems to be on the back leg that was crushed.
Yeah.
Because one of the other horses has kicked it quite hard.
Yeah.
So I knew that there was nothing you could do. So my boyfriend, he was calling first we had the vet coming over, and the vet confirmed what I was already knew.
Yeah.
And then my boyfriend, he was calling the butcher because they had to come with the car and so on.
Oh.
And I remember I was sitting in my office, and all of this was feeling so completely wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't know for how long I was sitting there, but then suddenly I was seeing this. I was seeing myself from a past life as an Indian. I saw my long black hair and a white feather and a bare top. I didn't have any clothes on here. And I was holding my arms like this around the horse. I could not see my face. I just saw me from behind.
Yeah.
And I saw some other Indians, but I understood it was me. And then in the next moment, I had this old Indian man with gray hair and a lot of really wrinkled skin. And he was perhaps a meter away from me. I could just see his face and a little bit top from here. And he was looking me straight in the eye, and he said, "Never leave your beloved ones in death to strangers."
Wow.
Quite clear.
Wow.
And then he disappeared. So at that moment, I knew what I had to do. And I went out to the kitchen to my boyfriend. And I told him that I had to do the job. And he said, "Well, I'm not sure that would be allowed. There are rules for this and all so on and so on." I said, I don't care about the rules. This is my job. I have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So he was calling the butcher guy that was coming on his way. And this guy, he told me that he has been doing this for 30 years and he has never experienced anything like it. But as he said, well, as no one else around here would hear about it, then it's okay.
Yeah.
So he came, he showed me, he was giving me this little kind of hammer.
Mm-hmm.
like a pistol thing. So he showed me what to do, and then they all left. So I was bringing my horse out, giving her some food, and I remember I was holding over her eye and asked her to forgive me. But all me, the person, the feelings I had inside was put on hold.
Yeah.
Because I knew that the horse could read me as an open book.
Yes.
So me emotionally did not exist. Yeah. But I was there for her and respecting her, the horse. So I was putting my hand over her eye and asked her to forgive me, and then triggered it off. So she was gone in a second.
Yeah.
And after that, my feelings was coming back. So I was in my office screaming for hours.
Yes. Yeah.
But I have never regretted, and I knew that it was my responsibility, and this horse trusted me till the last second.
I mean, that's profound and that's beautiful. I mean, but you know, it makes you think. I mean, all of our animals, you know, you have a connection. I mean, we always say, like with our cats, I don't know what it's like in all of it. You have cats and dogs and horses, and you know, some people have, you know, other ones, but on the norm, it's that. And you build a bond and a relationship. They're like family. They're like, you know, or call it your tribe, whatever you want to call it. And there's one occasion, and I remember when I was a child, one dog, we had one of our dogs. He had bitten somebody. It was a young dog, but it was obviously he wasn't going to stop biting. So, and I was about 10 at this age, and which is really weird that I was taken as well. And the person they bit, it wasn't serious, but it was serious enough to know the dog would maybe attack a baby or a child. And back in the day, there was different, you know, kids were on the streets all hours. And we took him to the veterinary surgeon, but the whole family was there. I can recall it. I never questioned it at the time. I mean, I just thought, why am I here? I was so young. And we all said goodbye. We all said goodbye. And the vet was there, and it was by injection. But it was what I suppose it was very sad, you know, to lose anything that you love. But I suppose now I can understand how that came about when you're talking about your horse. And I think it's what the family needed, the connection with this. Because I had my brother as well there, and it was his dog.
I think it's great to hear that you were all gathered together when you were doing this. Yeah. Because there are so many people that are feeling that they don't want to see it and so on, so they are leaving their animal.
Yeah. No.
So by strangers, and they feel it. Even the vets has told so many times that the animals are looking around in the room. They are scared. Yeah. Why is my owner leaving me?
Yeah, exactly. But that makes sense now. Now that makes sense to me. All the other dogs that we grew up with, they passed in the house, in the home, just naturally, and then they were buried in the garden. I mean, my parents' houses, I mean, how many dogs went in the garden? I don't know. You know, when people do new buildings or something, there's dog bones everywhere. But no, that you just reminded me of that experience with your horse, but the whole family was there.
Yeah.
He was called Paddy. Actually, my father was Irish. Trusted with my name, an Irish name. It's called Paddy.
And but afterwards, I also find it very fascinating how past lives actually can pop out in your daily life now. Yeah. And actually give you so clear advices or clear saying that you're responsible.
Yeah. And I think that's a really beautiful story. And I think it's true that another aspect that you touched upon, for you to carry out what I mean, some people see, you know, the killing as cruel or whatever, but you have to move the human out the way and do the most compassionate thing. The most compassionate thing is, I mean, the horse is suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's true. Animals read us like books. I mean, I've just adopted my daughter's old cat because, you know, I got a grandson that's like 18 months and he terrorizes the old cat, and it's not fair. And he become depressed and hid in a box. So I've agreed he can live here, his days out here. And he's on my bed at the moment. You know, and it's the connection you make, you know, and the whole point is that he comes here and he'll pass here with me, not anywhere else, so to speak, if that makes sense. But something, you have to get your emotions out the way. So even me, he's 14, I think 13, 14. And he had a brother that died a couple of months ago in my daughter's home. So he didn't, you know, he's outlived him. And I have to keep moving. I look at him and I can feel the love. And then I also comes in, he will pass. And I think, no, I know what, I just have to take that out the way. Take me out of the way. Otherwise, I would just, I'm more likely later on, I'll go mental. I would just and cry and scream. But that's part of the human experience, isn't it?
Yeah. But I have cried many times too, because of my animals, and I also still have a lot of animals. Yeah. But when they are in that moment, then you are not the important one. Then the animals time is important. So you just have to put yourself aside and do the best you can.
Absolutely. But don't we do that with human beings? I mean, it was 3 years roundabout now, nearly 4. I stayed with my friend. She had terminal cancer. I moved into apartments near her, and for 10 months. And then near the end, every day, her family were there as well, but every day I'd get up, go down and stay with her and be with her right to the end. And I don't know, you say now, how do you get through it? Well, I just had to and we all did. You have to put your emotions to one side just to be there for the person. None of us cried at that point. None of us did anything. We were functional, and you know, but after 10 months of being, you know, like emotionless to a degree, because a dying person, I got to say, and I used to do nursing years ago for those that were dying. I was called the death nurse. They feel your energy as well.
Oh yeah.
They feel.
I know very well how it is, because my best friend Linda died in June last year of cancer.
Yeah.
So we were trying to laugh. All the way till the bitter end and remember good times. Talking about books, I was actually making her book too. Because she was writing a book and she was trying all these publishing places, and I told her, you know what, they will not do it. And I was right, they would not do it. They wouldn't touch her story, because it was a self-healing. Because 28 years ago she was getting cancer, a very rare and aggressive one, and she was told that she had just a few months to live. And then she decided, okay, we will be too about that. So she changed her diet, she was changing her mindset, she was doing all kinds of things. So she was getting 28 more years. Wow. And she was actually getting cancer-free from that aggressive cancer. There was no treatment for. But later on, she was getting a new cancer.
I'm with you.
And then the doctor says that, this cancer is not that bad. So this is treatable. This we can do. Mm-hmm. So she was putting down her guard. Her guard. So she was I think that she was letting too much of the responsibility go over to the doctors. And now she's dead.
It's I mean, that was the same with my friend. You know, there was we were just jolly laughing, we joke. I mean, she couldn't hold a cigarette at all when she'd say, I want a cigarette, and I'd hold the cigarette, you know, and someone would say, you know, some nursing, it's very bad for her. I said, she's fucking dying. What's bad for her? And we'd let her have a little drink. She had gin. She wanted to have a drink. And you know, you just get the odd person going, is that good for her? She's fucking dying. What does it matter? And she would say it. I'm fucking dying. But that helped, I think, because she would crack up. She'd say, Gloria, do this. And I'd go, I'm not doing it. I'm tired. And she'd go, you do know I'm dying, don't you? And I'd go, and that was the banter. It was all the way through. But after she passed, all the emotions come in, a bit like the animals. You know, this conversation has been more than I expected, and I'm not surprised with you. It's been beautiful, and thank you for sharing the experiences and touching upon the 3 books. And for the audience out there, I hope if you've gone through any of the topics that Kate spoke about, so with the ET, you know how to get hold of a book, but with on depression or things like that, you know where to get hold of a book. And also the conversation about animals. Maybe, you may have accepted before that your animals should go off, but maybe after listening to Kate's experience and mine with the dog Paddy, maybe you might change your mind and be with your animal if you possibly can. You can only try, and if the vet says no, then you're not at fault. And the animal will know, but you can be in proximity, even outside the door, if that's the case. So,
and if they want to try to pursue my book, then you can find it on www.katethorvaldsen.com. Or they can just send me a message on Facebook.
And do you know what you've done all through this show? Every time I go to ask a question, you already answer it, and you just did it then. You did it all the way through, and you did it all the way. And I thought, I'm just going to give up. That's the connection, I suppose. I'm going to give up. Yes, I was going to ask that question. So, if you want to get hold of Kate via Facebook or a website, or just send me a message and I will send you towards Kate. I'm going to have you back on the show, there's no doubt, because there's so much more to you than what's already come out. And I look forward to when the book's coming out in English, and you can, we'll do a PowerPoint, we'll do one of those, but it'll be, excitement by PowerPoint, not death.
or I will be more technical advanced, so I will have a live screen behind me.
Oh, do it. And as I said, if anyone wants to fund her book, the drawings, she wants 3D imaging and knows about this sort of thing, I know you're out there, guys and girls, and it's always good to help another, because obviously someone's helped you to get where you are today, this amazing technical person. So get in contact with me or Kate and help this happen. And then Kate will come on the show and we'll do an amazing presentation for everyone to learn from. Thank you so much, sweetie. It's been a pleasure again talking to you.
Fun.
It's been fun. Until the next time. My name's Gloria, and this is Inception Special. Until my next conversation, it's bye from me.